The arrival. In the autumn of 2047, humanity's perception of its place in the universe changed forever. The skies above Earth's major cities darkened as massive alien ships entered the atmosphere, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metallic sheen. The world watched in awe and terror as these colossal vessels positioned themselves over metropolises across the globe. Dr. Elena Valdez, a renowned astrophysicist at the SETI Institute, was among the first to detect the approaching fleet. She had noticed anomalies in deep space readings weeks before the arrival, but her warnings had fallen on deaf ears. Now, as she stood on the roof of her laboratory in California, watching the ship loom over San Francisco, she felt a mix of vindication and dread. "We should have been prepared," she muttered, her hand gripping the railing tightly. The initial contact was not hostile. For 48 hours, the ships remained silent and stationary, causing global panic and speculation. World leaders scrambled to formulate a response, but before any cohesive plan could be implemented, the aliens made their intentions clear. In a worldwide broadcast that hijacked every communication channel, the alien commander, a towering figure with iridescent skin and multifaceted eyes, delivered a chilling message. "People of Earth, we are the Zarkonian Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Resistance is futile. Submit, and you may live as our subjects. Defy us and face annihilation." The ultimatum sparked immediate chaos. Some nations attempted to strike the ships with nuclear weapons, only to watch helplessly as their missiles disintegrated against invisible force fields. The aliens responded with precision strikes, wiping out military bases and government facilities across the globe. Within days, major cities fell under alien control. Streets once bustling with human activity now echoed with the metallic footsteps of alien patrols. Humans were rounded up, processed, and assigned to labor camps. The Zarkonians' advanced technology made short work of Earth's defenses, and their goal became clear: to exploit the planet's resources and use its population as a workforce. Amidst the turmoil, pockets of resistance began to form. In the ruins of Washington, D.C., Colonel Sarah Harper, a decorated military strategist, rallied surviving soldiers and civilians. Her impromptu speech in the shadow of the crumbling Washington Monument became a beacon of hope. "They may have superior technology, but we have something they can never understand: the human spirit. We will not go quietly into the night. We will fight, we will survive, and we will take back our world." Her words spread like wildfire through hidden communication channels, inspiring similar movements worldwide. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka, a brilliant robotics engineer, began reverse engineering alien technology from salvaged components. His makeshift lab in the city's vast underground network became a hub for technological resistance. "If we can understand their tech," Hiroshi explained to his growing team of scientists and engineers, "we can find its weaknesses. Every system has a flaw, we just need to find it." Meanwhile, in the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes led by Ayana Morales formed an unexpected but formidable resistance cell. That intimate knowledge of the terrain allowed them to evade alien patrols and conduct guerrilla-style attacks. "Our ancestors protected this land for thousands of years," Ayana told her people. "We will not let these sky invaders take it from us." As the aliens tightened their grip on urban centers, the human resistance grew stronger in the margins. Underground networks formed, linking disparate groups across continents. Information was their most valuable currency. Weaknesses observed, patterns recognized, small victories celebrated. Dr. Valdez, who had narrowly escaped the fall of San Francisco, found herself at the heart of this burgeoning movement. Her understanding of alien technology made her an invaluable asset. Working from a hidden bunker in the Sierra Nevada mountains, she coordinated with resistance cells worldwide, piecing together crucial intelligence. "The Zarkonians aren't invincible," she explained during a clandestine video conference with resistance leaders. "Their ships require a specific atmospheric compound to operate. If we can disrupt it, we might just have a chance." Colonel Harper, joining the call from her mobile command center, nodded grimly. "We need more than a chance, Doctor. We need a miracle." As the first month under alien rule came to an end, humanity found itself at a crossroads. The initial shock had worn off, replaced by a grim determination. In hidden bases, abandoned subway tunnels, and dense forests, plans were being made. The human race, with its back against the wall, was preparing to show the Zarkonians why Earth would not be an easy conquest. Across the globe, a message began to spread, whispered in the shadows and scrawled on walls. They came to enslave us, but they'll find their graves instead. The Zarkonians, confident in their technological superiority, failed to grasp the tenacity of the human spirit. They didn't understand that humanity, throughout its history, had faced extinction-level threats and emerged stronger. From natural disasters to pandemics, from world wars to climate crises, humans had always found a way to adapt and overcome. This invasion was just another chapter in humanity's long story of survival, and as the resistance grew stronger each day, it became clear that this chapter would be one of humanity's finest hours. As the sun set on another day of alien occupation, Dr. Valdez looked out over the rugged mountain landscape. In the distance, the faint outline of a Zarkonian ship hovered over what was once a thriving city. She turned to her makeshift lab, where a team of scientists worked tirelessly on their latest project. "We're not just fighting for our survival," she said, her voice filled with quiet determination. "We're fighting for our right to shape our own destiny, and that's a fight we will not, lose." The first phase of humanity's resistance was underway. The Zarkonians had come expecting to find slaves, but they would soon discover they had awakened a force far more powerful than they could have imagined. The war for Earth had only just begun. Understanding the enemy. 3 months into the Zarkonian occupation, the human resistance had evolved from scattered groups into a coordinated global network. Operating in the shadows, they had begun to piece together crucial information about their alien oppressors. Dr. Elena Valdez's hidden laboratory in the Sierra Nevada mountains had become the nexus of this intelligence-gathering operation. On a crisp autumn morning, Dr. Valdez stood before a holographic display, briefing resistance leaders from around the world. Her usually neat appearance was disheveled, dark circles under her eyes testament to countless sleepless nights. "We've made significant progress in understanding Zarkonian biology and technology," she began, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "Thanks to the brave efforts of our operatives, we now know that the Zarkonians are not as invulnerable as they appear." The hologram flickered, displaying a detailed diagram of Zarkonian physiology. "Their respiratory system is highly specialized," Dr. Valdez explained. "They require a specific atmospheric mixture to function optimally. This is why they've been terraforming our major cities." Colonel Sarah Harper, her face grim on one of the video feeds, leaned forward. "Can we use this against them?" Dr. Valdez nodded. "Potentially. We're working on a compound that could disrupt their ability to process our atmosphere. It's not a silver bullet, but it could give us an edge." Hiroshi Tanaka's voice crackled through the communications system. "We've also made progress in understanding their technology. The force fields protecting their ships, they're not impenetrable. They operate on a fluctuating frequency. If we can predict the pattern, we might be able to breach them." As the briefing continued, it became clear that humanity was slowly unraveling the mysteries of their invaders. But knowledge alone wasn't enough. They needed a plan to turn this information into action. Meanwhile, in the heart of what was once New York City, now a grotesque hybrid of human architecture and alien technology, a daring mission was underway. Alex Chen, a former cybersecurity expert turned resistance operative, crept through the shadows of a Zarkonian processing facility. Alex's mission was simple but incredibly dangerous: plant a virus in the alien computer systems to gather more intelligence. As he navigated the eerie, pulsating corridors of the facility, he couldn't help but marvel at the alien technology surrounding him. "Focus, Alex," he muttered to himself, shaking off the distraction. He reached a terminal, its surface glowing with strange symbols. Taking a deep breath, he plugged in a device of Hiroshi's design and began the hack. For tense minutes, Alex worked furiously, sweat beading on his forehead as alien characters flowed across the screen. Just as he finished uploading the virus, an alarm blared. "Shit," he hissed, yanking out the device and sprinting for the exit. Zarkonian guards, their armor gleaming under the facility's harsh lights, poured into the corridors. Alex's heart pounded as he weaved through the complex, the sound of energy weapons discharging behind him. He burst out of the facility into the alien-transformed streets of New York, disappearing into a hidden entrance to the old subway system just as a patrol rounded the corner. Back in the Resistance's underground base beneath the city, Alex was greeted with a mix of relief and excitement. "Did you get it?" asked Maria Delgado, the cell's leader. Alex nodded, still catching his breath. "It's done. If Hiroshi's virus works as planned, we'll have unprecedented access to their systems." As data began to flow from the Zarkonian networks to Resistance servers around the world, a clearer picture of the invasion began to emerge. The Zarkonians, it turned out, were not the unstoppable force they appeared to be. Dr. Valdez's team discovered that the aliens were facing resource shortages. Their home world, millions of light years away, was dying. Earth wasn't just a conquest, it was a desperate bid for survival. This revelation sparked heated debates among Resistance leaders. "They're fighting for survival, just like us," argued Dr. Valdez during an emergency meeting. "This could be an opportunity for diplomacy." Colonel Harper vehemently disagreed. "They've killed millions, enslaved more. We can't forget that, regardless of their reasons." As the debate raged, Ayanna Morales, speaking from her hidden base in the Amazon, offered a perspective that silenced the others. In nature, when two species compete for the same resources, there can be no peace until one adapts or leaves. We cannot abandon our home, so we must force them to adapt or leave. Her words resonated with the group, setting the tone for their next moves. They would use their growing understanding of the Zarkonians not to seek peace, but to find a way to drive them from Earth. The Resistance's efforts intensified. In hidden labs around the world, scientists worked tirelessly to develop weapons capable of penetrating Zarkonian defenses. Hiroshi's team made breakthroughs in jamming alien communications. Guerrilla strikes, once mere pinpricks against the alien war machine, began to have real impact. But the Zarkonians were far from defeated. They responded to the growing resistance with brutal efficiency, leveling entire city blocks to root out hidden bases. The alien commander, in another global broadcast, issued a chilling warning. "Humans of Earth, your futile resistance only brings you pain. Submit now, and we may yet show mercy. Continue to fight, and we will have no choice but to cleanse this world for our own survival." The threat only steeled humanity's resolve. In the weeks that followed, the Resistance saw an influx of new recruits, people driven by desperation and the primal need to fight for their home. Dr. Valdez, working with a team of climatologists and atmospheric scientists, made a crucial discovery. The Zarkonians' atmospheric processors, while changing Earth's air to suit their needs, were having an unintended side effect. They were destabilizing the planet's weather patterns, causing increasingly severe storms and temperature fluctuations. If we don't stop them soon, Dr. Valdez warned, they might render the planet uninhabitable for both our species. This revelation added a new urgency to the Resistance's efforts. They weren't just fighting for freedom now, they were fighting for the very survival of their world. As the 6th month of occupation approached, tensions were reaching a breaking point. Both humans and Zarkonians were feeling the strain of the prolonged conflict. Something had to give. In Resistance bases around the world, a daring plan began to take shape. It was risky, potentially catastrophic if it failed, but if successful, it could turn the tide of the war. Colonel Harper, addressing a council of Resistance leaders, summed up the situation. "We've learned about our enemy. We've discovered their weaknesses. Now it's time to use that knowledge. We're not just going to sting them anymore. We're going to strike a blow they can't ignore. As the meeting concluded, a sense of grim determination settled over the group. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. In the shadows of a world transformed by alien occupation, the human resistance prepared for their most audacious move yet. The Zarkonians had come to Earth expecting to find a compliant species ripe for exploitation. Instead, they were about to learn a harsh lesson about human tenacity and the lengths to which humanity would go to protect its home. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the future of both species. And as the resistance made its final preparations, one thing was clear. This would be a battle not just for survival, but for the very soul of Earth itself. The first victory. The plan was audacious, bordering on insanity. But after months of gathering intelligence and developing new technologies, the human resistance was ready to strike their first major blow against the Zarkonian invaders. The target, the aliens' primary atmospheric processor in what was once Beijing. This massive structure, towering over the transformed cityscape, was key to the Zarkonians' efforts to alter Earth's atmosphere. Destroying it would not only disrupt their operations but send a powerful message: humanity was fighting back. Colonel Sarah Harper, leading the operation from a mobile command center hidden in the outskirts of the city, took a deep breath as she surveyed her team. Remember, people, timing is everything. We have one shot at this. Let's make it count. The assault team, a mix of former military personnel and civilian volunteers, was divided into 3 groups. Team Alpha, led by Alex Chen, would infiltrate the facility and plant explosives at crucial points. Team Bravo, under the command of Maria Delgado, would create a diversion to draw away Zarkonian forces. Team Charlie, a group of pilots flying retrofitted human aircraft enhanced with reverse-engineered alien tech, would provide air support and evacuation. As night fell, the operation began. Team Bravo struck first, launching a series of coordinated attacks on Zarkonian patrols across the city. The aliens, caught off guard by the sudden aggression, scrambled to respond. With the enemy distracted, Team Alpha moved in. Using stealth tech developed by Hiroshi Tanaka, they slipped past the facility's outer defenses. Alex, his heart pounding, led the team through the labyrinthine interior. "Remember," he whispered, "plant the charges exactly where Dr. Valdez indicated. Those are the weak points." As they worked, the sound of distant explosions and energy weapon fire echoed through the structure. Team Bravo was keeping the Zarkonians busy, but time was running short. Just as Alex planted the final charge, alarms blared throughout the facility. "We've been made," shouted one of his team members. "We need to move now." They sprinted for the exit, alien guards in hot pursuit. Energy blasts sizzled past them, scorching the walls. As they burst out of the facility, the night sky lit up with tracer fire and the glow of engines. Team Charlie had arrived. "This is Falcon 1, crackled a voice over the comm. "We've got you covered, Alpha Team. Get to the extraction point." The retrofitted jets engaged the Zarkonian flyers, the air battle illuminating the city like deadly fireworks. On the ground, Alex and his team raced through streets they once knew, now alien and hostile. Back at the command center, Colonel Harper watched the operation unfold with tense anticipation. "Alpha Team, status report," she barked into the comm. "Charges planted," Alex responded, his breath heavy. "Awaiting your order to detonate." Harper's finger hovered over the detonator. She knew that pressing it would irrevocably escalate the conflict. But as she watched more Zarkonian reinforcements pour into the area, she knew they were out of time. "All teams, clear the blast radius," she ordered. Then, with a silent prayer, she pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a roar that seemed to shake the very foundations of the Earth, the atmospheric processor exploded. The blast was tremendous, a pillar of fire reaching into the night sky. The shockwave rippled through the city, shattering windows and knocking both humans and aliens off their feet. As the dust settled, an eerie silence fell over Beijing. The Zarkonian forces, stunned by the sudden destruction of their key installation, temporarily halted their pursuit. This gave the human teams the opening they needed to reach their extraction points and disappear into the night. Hours later, as the resistance teams regrouped at a hidden base in the Mongolian steppes, the full impact of their actions began to sink in. They had done it. They had struck a significant blow against the seemingly invincible invaders. Dr. Valdez, analyzing data from the attack, couldn't contain her excitement. The destruction of the processor has already caused a 15% reduction in atmospheric alterations, she reported. If we can take out more of these facilities, we might be able to halt their terraforming efforts entirely. The victory, while significant, came at a cost. Not all resistance members made it back. Those who did carried the weight of their lost comrades, but also a newfound hope. Colonel Harper addressed the assembled teams, her voice filled with pride and determination. Today, we showed the Zarkonians that humanity will not go quietly. We've bloodied their nose, and in doing so, we've given hope to every human on this planet still fighting for freedom. As news of the successful attack spread through the global resistance network, a wave of renewed energy swept through the movement. From the underground cities of Europe to the hidden camps in the African savannas, humans celebrated this first major victory. But the war was far from over. The Zarkonian response was swift and brutal. In a planet-wide broadcast, the alien commander's face, contorted with rage, filled screens across the globe. Humans of Earth, the commander snarled, you have chosen to escalate this conflict. Know that your actions today have not weakened our resolve, but merely hastened your species' demise. We offered coexistence. Now we offer only subjugation or extinction. In the days that followed, Zarkonian reprisals were severe. They increased their efforts to root out resistance cells, employing new and terrifying technologies in their search. Entire neighborhoods in major cities were leveled, suspected of harboring resistance sympathizers. Yet, despite the harsh retaliation, or perhaps because of it, the resistance grew stronger. The Beijing operation had proven that the aliens could be hurt, that they weren't invincible. It gave people hope, and in that hope, they found the courage to fight. Ayana Morales, speaking from her base in the Amazon, summed up the mood of the resistance. We have landed the first blow, but it must not be the last. The road ahead is long and dangerous, but we have shown that it is not impassable. We will take back our world, one victory at a time. As the resistance prepare for their next moves, studying the Zarkonian reactions and planning new strikes, a sense of cautious optimism spread through their ranks. The aliens had come to Earth expecting easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species with a long history of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds. The battle for Earth had truly begun, and humanity was ready to fight with everything it had. The Zarkonians were about to learn a painful lesson. When pushed to the brink, humans don't just survive, they thrive. Global counteroffensive. In the months following the Beijing operation, the face of the war changed dramatically. What had once been a one-sided occupation became a planet-wide struggle, with battles raging across continents. The human resistance, emboldened by their first major victory, launched a series of coordinated attacks against Zarkonian strongholds around the globe. Dr. Elena Valdez, now operating from a mobile command center that constantly moved to avoid detection, had become the de facto head of the Resistance's scientific efforts. Her latest breakthrough was a device that could temporarily disrupt the Zarkonians' energy shields. It's not perfect, she explained to the assembled resistance leaders during a secure video conference. The effect only lasts for about 30 seconds, but it should be enough to get our weapons through their defenses. Colonel Sarah Harper, her face grim but determined, nodded. 30 seconds is all we need. We've got teams ready to move on multiple fronts. It's time we take this fight global. The plan was ambitious. Simultaneous strikes on Zarkonian command centers in New York, Moscow, Cairo, and Sydney. The goal was not just to damage the alien infrastructure, but to sow chaos and confusion among their ranks. As the operations began, the resistance unleashed every weapon in its arsenal. In New York, Alex Chen led a team that infiltrated the aliens' main communication hub. Using Dr. Valdez's device, they'd breached the energy shields and planted a virus that threw the Zarkonian networks into disarray. In Moscow, Maria Delgado coordinated with local resistance cells to launch a massive ground assault on the aliens' Eastern European headquarters. The battle was fierce, with energy weapons lighting up the sky and the thunder of explosions echoing through the streets. Cairo saw perhaps the most daring operation. Ayana Morales, having traveled from her Amazon base, led a small team in a raid on the Zarkonian research facility. Their mission: to steal crucial data on the aliens' long-term plans for Earth. In Sydney, Hiroshi Tanaka unveiled his latest creation, a swarm of nanobots capable of disabling Zarkonian technology from within. As the tiny machines infiltrated the alien systems, their massive ships began to fall from the sky, crashing into the harbor and surrounding areas. The global assault caught the Zarkonians completely off guard. For the first time since their arrival, the invaders found themselves on the defensive, scrambling to respond to threats on multiple fronts. Colonel Harper, coordinating the worldwide effort from her mobile command center, allowed herself a small smile as reports of successes poured in. "We've got them on the run," she announced to her team. "But this is just the beginning. We need to press our advantage." As news of the Resistance's victory spread, hope blossomed across the planet. In cities and towns under Zarkonian control, humans began to rise up, emboldened by the knowledge that the aliens could be beaten. But the Zarkonians were far from defeated. As they regrouped, their retaliation was swift and brutal. They unleashed new, more aggressive bioweapons designed to target human physiology. Entire regions were quarantined, cut off from all contact with the outside world. Dr. Valdez and her team worked tirelessly to develop countermeasures, but it was a race against time. "We're dealing with technology centuries ahead of our own," she explained during an emergency briefing. "Every time we find a solution, they adapt and create new threats." Despite the challenges, the resistance continued to make progress. With each passing week, more Zarkonian installations fell, and more of Earth was reclaimed. The aliens, for the first time, seemed to be losing their grip on the planet. In a desperate move, the Zarkonian High Command decided to consolidate their forces. They began to abandon smaller outposts, concentrating their remaining strength in a handful of massive fortress cities. This strategy gave humanity breathing room, but it also presented new challenges. The fortress cities were virtually impenetrable, protected by layered defenses and hordes of Zarkonian troops. As the resistance leadership debated their next move, a new complication arose. Intercepted Zarkonian communications revealed a startling truth: reinforcements were on their way. A second wave of invasion ships had been dispatched from the alien homeworld. The news sent shockwaves through the resistance. They had made incredible progress, but could they stand against a fresh onslaught of Zarkonian forces? Colonel Harper called an emergency meeting of all resistance leaders. "We've got a choice to make," she said, her voice grave. "We can try to fortify our positions, prepare for a long siege when the reinforcements arrive, or we can gamble everything on one final push to drive the Zarkonians off our planet before their backup gets here." The debate was heated. Some argued for caution, for building up their defenses and preparing for a protracted war. Others pushed for an all-out offensive, arguing that this might be their only chance to reclaim Earth completely. In the end, it was Dr. Valdez who tipped the scales. "The Zarkonians' atmospheric processors have already done significant damage to our ecosystem," she explained. "If we allow this war to drag on for years, we might win the battle only to find we've lost our planet. We need to end this now." The decision was made. The resistance would launch an all-out assault on the Zarkonian fortress cities. Every resource, every weapon, every able-bodied fighter would be committed to this final push. As preparations began, a sense of nervous anticipation swept through the resistance. They had come so far, achieved so much against seemingly impossible odds. Now, they were preparing to risk everything on one final gambit. Across the planet, humans readied themselves for the fight of their lives. In hidden bases and secret laboratories, in underground bunkers and guerrilla camps, the message spread. This was humanity's last stand. The Zarkonians had come to Earth expecting to find slaves. Instead, they had found a species willing to fight to its last breath for freedom. As both sides prepared for the final confrontation, one thing was clear: the fate of Earth would be decided in the coming battle. The Resistance's rallying cry echoed around the world. They came to enslave us, but they'll find their graves instead. The stage was set for the most important conflict in human history. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. The final battle. The day of reckoning had arrived. Across the globe, Resistance forces mobilized for their final assault on the Zarkonian fortress cities. The air was thick with tension as humans prepared to fight not just for their freedom, but for the very future of their planet. Colonel Sarah Harper stood before a massive holographic display, surveying the battlefield. "All units, report in," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. One by one, team leaders checked in. Alex Chen from New York, Maria Delgado from Moscow, Ayana Morales from Cairo, and Hiroshi Tanaka from Sydney, each ready to lead the charge in their respective theaters. Dr. Elena Valdez approached Harper, holding a small device. "This is it, Sarah," she said, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and determination. "Our latest creation. If we can get this to the heart of their main fortress, it should disrupt their entire planetary network." Harper nodded grimly. "Then that's our primary objective. All other attacks are diversions to get this device where it needs to go." As dawn broke, the assault began. Across 4 continents, human forces struck at the Zarkonian strongholds with everything they had. The sky lit up with energy weapons and explosions, the ground shook with the thunder of battle. In New York, Alex led a team through the sewers, emerging inside the Zarkonian perimeter. They fought their way through alien patrols, their goal the central command spire looming above the transformed city. Maria's forces in Moscow employed guerrilla tactics, striking from the shadows and disappearing before the Zarkonians could retaliate. Their hit-and-run attacks kept the aliens off balance, preventing them from coordinating their defenses. Ayana's team in Cairo used the ancient tunnels beneath the city to outmaneuver the Zarkonians, popping up where least expected and causing havoc among the alien ranks. In Sydney, Hiroshi unleashed his most advanced creations yet, swarms of nanobots that ate through Zarkonian technology like acid, disabling their weapons and defense systems. But it was at the main Zarkonian fortress, built over the ruins of London, where the fate of the war would be decided. Here, Colonel Harper herself led the charge, fighting alongside her troops as they pushed towards the heart of the alien stronghold. The battle was fierce and casualties were high on both sides. The Zarkonians, realizing this was humanity's final push, fought with desperate intensity. But the humans, driven by the knowledge that this was their last chance to reclaim their world, matched the aliens' ferocity with their own indomitable spirit. As the fighting reached its peak, Harper and a small team, including Dr. Valdez, managed to breach the fortress's inner sanctum. There, they confronted the Zarkonian High Command. The alien leader, a towering figure with eyes that glowed with cold fury, addressed them. "You fight impressively, humans," it said, its voice a metallic rasp. "But it is futile. Even now, our reinforcements approach. Your world is lost." Harper stepped forward, her weapon trained on the alien. "This world will never be yours," she declared. "We'd rather die free than live as slaves." As Harper engaged the Zarkonian leader in combat, Dr. Valdez rushed to plant the disruption device. Alien guards moved to stop her, but were held off by Harper's team. Just as it seemed the humans would be overwhelmed, Dr. Valdez succeeded in activating the device. A pulse of energy rippled out, and suddenly, the Zarkonian technology began to fail. The alien leader, realizing defeat was imminent, made a last desperate lunge at Harper. But the colonel was ready. With a final decisive strike, she ended the Zarkonian threat once and for all. As news of the High Command's defeat spread, Zarkonian resistance crumbled worldwide. The fortress cities fell one by one, and the alien invaders found themselves surrounded and cut off. A new dawn. In the days that followed, the full extent of humanity's victory became clear. Without their leaders and with their technology in disarray, the remaining Zarkonians surrendered. The threat of reinforcements turned out to be a bluff, a desperate attempt to demoralize a human resistance. As the dust settled, the enormity of the task ahead became apparent. Earth had been ravaged by the war, its cities destroyed, its ecosystems damaged by alien terraforming attempts. The road to recovery would be long and difficult. But humanity, having faced extinction and emerged victorious, was ready for the challenge. The spirit of unity that had driven the resistance now turned towards rebuilding. Dr. Valdez led efforts to reverse the damage done to Earth's atmosphere, using modified Zarkonian technology to restore balance to the planet's ecosystems. Hiroshi Tanaka's innovations in nanotechnology proved crucial in cleaning up the devastated urban areas. The captured Zarkonian ships, once instruments of oppression, were repurposed for space exploration. Humanity, having defeated an advanced alien species, now looked to the stars not with fear, but with curiosity and ambition. A year after the final battle, Colonel Harper, now General Harper, stood atop the rebuilt London Tower, looking out over a city slowly coming back to life. Dr. Valdez joined her, a tablet in hand. The last of the atmospheric processes has been neutralized, Valdez reported. Earth's climate should stabilize within a few years. Harper nodded, a small smile on her face. We did it, Elena. We saved our world. We did more than that, Valdez replied. We've opened up a whole new chapter for humanity. The Zarkonian technology we've adapted, it's advancing our science by centuries. We're already planning our first extrasolar colony. As they spoke, a memorial was being unveiled in the plaza below, a statue depicting not a single hero, but a diverse group of humans standing united. It bore a simple inscription: "They came to enslave us. They found their graves instead." The Zarkonian invasion, while devastating, had ultimately forced humanity to overcome its divisions and unite as never before. In facing this existential threat, humans had discovered strengths they never knew they possessed. As the sun set on this new world, humanity looked to the future with hope and determination. They have faced the ultimate test and emerged stronger for it. Whatever challenges the universe might hold, Earth and its people were ready. The stars, once a source of terror, now beckoned with the promise of new adventures. Humanity, battle-hardened but unbroken, stood ready to take its place among the cosmic community, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as explorers, innovators, and survivors. They had not merely endured, they had prevailed, and in doing so, they had written a new chapter in the story of human resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to be enslaved. The Zarkonians had come seeking to subjugate humanity. Instead, they had unleashed a force that would reshape the galaxy. The future, bright with possibility, belonged to humanity, and they were ready to seize it with both hands.